Hello and good morning. My name is Samar Solomon, and today I'm going to be talking about the health of our oceans. What specific topic I was researching was to what extent has sewage being dumped on routes used by cruise lines impacted the living conditions along the Alaskan coast in the past 20 years. Before I tell you what argument I have formed based on my research, you will need to know some background information. What is sewage? Sewage is wastewater containing feces, urine, laundry, waste, and other biosolids. Sewage on a larger scale is a factor in determining the health score, according to the stimulus source. Whether or not waters are free from oil spills, chemicals, algae blooms, diseases causing pathogens, including those introduced by sewage, floating trash, mass kills of organisms, and oxygen depletion conditions are one of the factors that determine the health score of an ocean. The argument I formed was the dumping of sewage on routes utilized by cruise lines has negatively impacted living conditions near the Alaskan coast in the past 20 years because sewage ruins the health of an environment and affects the marine life. How does sewage affect the environment? So in this graph from Eddie Boken from the Alaskan Public Radio, the sewage is dumped from the waste tank, and sewage discharge leads to nutrients entering coastal waters. The nutrients will feed the algae blooms, and the algae blooms will blossom to an excessive rate, and the nutrients will fall to the seafloor, and this will either absorb oxygen in the water, or it can lead to other organisms at the bottom of the ocean absorbing these toxic chemicals and diseases. Cruise lines are not innocent to doing this. According to the Alaskan Cruise Discharge Report, waste biomasses containing organic materials, often with high concentrations of bacteria and viruses, unless treated further in biological treatment, microorganisms, for example, bacteria, consume the biological matter in sewage, which produces biological masses. Example, more bacteria. Of 6 cruise ships with traditional biological type 2 MSDs that operated in Alaskan waters in 2004, all recycle all of their separated biological masses to bioreactors. So cruise ships are dumping this into the seafloor. The nutrients that is dumped by this, the nutrients is released into the environment. And this is 6 large cruise ships in Alaska in 2004. So cruise ships are not innocent in this matter. People might say, since nutrients is good for the environment, that it won't hurt the environment, but it still obviously does, because algae blooms occurred and it affects marine life, which leads me to my next claim: the impact on marine life. In this image over here, we see a native Alaskan sea otter covered in pollutants. This is because of all the sewage in the past 20 years being dumped. According to Jim Boken, sea otters relative to the near-shore ecosystems, when a specific pollutant and pathogens are known to activate certain genes by identifying and quantifying the mRNA produced. Researchers can use gene expression in concern with clinical evaluation to best diagnose an organism's state of health relative to exposure to contaminants or diseases. This saying is, sea otters' DNA has actually changed over the past. Sea otters, their DNA has literally changed from the amount of pollutants being released into the Alaskan coast. So when we can see the connection between these two, is an unhealthy environment leads to the decline of health of marine life. From the stimulus, the National Ocean Service, contaminants in the environment can look and smell pretty nasty, but their impacts go beyond just aesthetics. Some pollutants resist breakdown and accumulate food chain. These pollutants can be consumed or absorbed by fish and wildlife. Chemicals can also get into sediments, impacting large coastal areas and reducing the health of coastal environment. How may we solve this problem? There's 3 main solutions. For one, we could have stricter guidelines and laws from international organizations. We could have better sewage treatment. We could spread awareness. The limitations to this, though, there's a lot of corruption in the cruise line industry. Sewage treatment is very expensive, and since a lot of cruise lines are very corrupt, as in the first point, it's said before. And spreading awareness, but the fun and elusiveness of a cruise can really make people not think about it. Thank you.
All right, I have 2 questions for you. First question, how did your research question evolve as you moved through the process?
Well, I didn't know which area of like where cruises go through to like focus on until I did more further research. So I didn't even know Alaska the Alaskan coast was really impacted by this.
All right, and if you had more time, what additional research would you have done?
I would have done more research on how the corruption of the cruise line industry really leads into how sewage is being handled.
All right, you're done. Thank you.